Garden City, Pensioners Paradise, IT Hub. Probably that's the only last that will resonate in today's age of the mega city Bengaluru. The growth at which the population is growing, infrastructure is collapsing. During one of the surveys, Bengaluru also reported to be one of the worst congested cities in the world. In this special show, we are going to show you what the citizens of Bengaluru think what their city is today.
Hours. That's how much time Sanjay Sharma, a techie, spends every day on Bengaluru roads. Just to commute from his home in Gunjur to his office in Dairy Circle, which spans across nearly 25 kilometers.
If 3 to 5 hours time, it is an almost 50% of our work timings I'm spending on the road, where basically I'm totally unproductive. Okay, and I cannot just do anything. I have to just drive the car or just wait and just wait in the traffic.
A little more than 1 crore vehicles have been registered so far in the city of Bengaluru. And to speak of the traffic snarls at Outer Ring Road, anywhere between 2 to 3 lakh vehicles ply from Silk Board to Hebal. And Mr. Sharma says due to the bad planning of infrastructure and rapid growth of the city, and having to spend nearly 5 hours on the road, he takes his work home.
This is the situation, and because of that, I had to extend my work hours, because if I could not finish the work, okay, definitely while coming from the office 8-9 p.m. again, I have to sit and just finish my all the important emails, check and update in the message and inform all the other stakeholders.
Mr. Abhyodaya is the Vice President and Chief of Staff at An Academy, an Indian educational technological company. As he prepares to leave his home at Kempapura in southeast of Bengaluru to his office in Domlur, he covers at least 17 kilometers. But however, his travel takes him at least about an hour or so. And in this conversation with me, I hop on with Abhyodaya, who makes a promise of how the startup ecosystem will come together to improve the city's infrastructure.
So Abhyodaya, we're taking this drive to your office, and how did it come to be known as a horror road? I can also see it on Google Maps.
Horror road as an attraction on Google Maps, and then the reviews poured in. If you would see, it's rated 4.9, and if you read the comments, if you read the reviews, they're so funny because they're so sarcastic. It's like people have given up on that road, that it would ever be done. And you see comments like, today I forgot to shake my shaker, but I just came on this road and job got done. Who wants to go to Wonderla when you have horror road? So it's technically just branding done by the citizens who are so much in despair that now they're seeing the humorous side of it, and I find it funny too.
Or do you think it's pertinent for startup ecosystem, the leaders of tomorrow, to come together collectively and actually come up with solutions?
Yeah, I mean, break this down into 2 parts. Why this happens in Bengaluru and why does it get submerged every year? And you're right, we see it every year. It's got a lot to do with geography when you talk about it, about the low-lying areas and how superstructures were built up over lake beds, right? So we all know about that, which brings me to the second part, which you're saying, what are we doing about that? Of course, we as a community of startup enthusiasts, given the kind of say that we have in this ecosystem, given the kind of value add we are doing to the economy of Bengaluru, logically speaking, must come together and start something like startup activism. When I talk about the startup ecosystem, we are still solving basic problems for ourselves. We are solving. Let's talk about the founders, right? Their whole day I've seen the founders working so hard on basic problem statements like how do we raise more funds, how do we become more profitable, how do we cut down our cost, how do we add value to our customers, and the little time that remains goes into networking and goes into drawing best practices from each other. So I would say that all the hope is not lost. I think we are just starting. You did sow the seed, yeah. I mean, why not? I think over a period of time, we will see this whole ecosystem develop more and come together to contribute to society and Bengaluru at large in general.
The pothole-riddled roads, lives being lost at metro construction sites due to negligence, traffic woes, all this is giving enough ammunition for the opposition to target Bommai's BJP just ahead of 2023 elections. And citizens unfortunately tells us that whichever government is elected, they will still continue to bear the brunt.
The city received unrelentless and unprecedented rains, and that led to especially some of the lakes across the city, especially to reach to the brim. It breached onto the road, filling the parking lots, houses, apartments. This was completely underwater. The IT city, the Silicon capital, turned out to be a joke. In fact, it became a huge joke across the globe as well because there were several memes that were circulated. The flooding, what we had witnessed, some of the reasons, of course, behind the disaster was specific to the city. Bengaluru was, of course, long celebrated as a city of lakes, but the interconnectivity as years have passed, as the city has grown, the interconnectivity between water bodies has been completely lost. The drainage system, otherwise, which should have been maintained by the civic bodies or the government agencies for that matter, is not in place at all. That's also because lack of cooperation between these governmental agencies. All that, especially, the Outer Ring Road Association, like we have here, they're discussing some of the key points. In fact, what really could have led to that flooding. They also say that they do not want to see another year where the companies, the stretch, especially the Outer Ring Road, houses, apartments, to go once again underwater. The state is just about 2 or 3 months away from elections, 2023 elections. The civic infrastructure has collapsed in the city of Bengaluru. You have Nalin Kumar Katil, in fact, the BJP leader, telling his BJP cadres, don't focus on roads, don't focus on civic issues, instead talk about love jihad.
See, I don't know, and I never heard this. I'm a hardcore BJP fellow, so I would.
So what you want to say, are you agreeing? I mean, shouldn't the BJP be providing anything?
This is a collapse. I won't say even collapse. This is a scaling issue. They have not scaled the parameters as required by the scale of the city, and the town planning has failed. So there is no political agenda here. It's the immaturity, incompetence of the civic bodies who have not been able to consider what's coming out.
Great. So you're blaming it on the civic body simply. But do you think the civic body can be autonomous without actual administration of the government? Can it be?
See, they are not because there is a political party there. They are because they have a job to do. They fail the job, they cannot blame on politicians or residents. Understand this. We cannot just keep finger pointing on politicians saying they made a mistake. They have nothing to do with this. They have other growth agendas. They have massive infrastructure provisional activities, not the taxpayers' money which is lost. It's because of the political and so-called
taxpayers' money is not going.
What I'm saying is very simple. This is sheer incompetence of the civic body.
If you're telling me there's no corruption, if you're telling me that it is the incompetence of the BBMP, what is your answer to Nalin Kumar says don't focus on civic issues?
Yeah, but then see, who is he? For me, the water drainage, I'm not going to go and speak to Nalin Kumar. I'm going to speak to BBMP fellow.
What are you expecting from the upcoming government? Now the state is going to elections. You're already telling me that the apartment is going to witness another flooding this year. It's nothing new. So, but what are you asking from the government?
If they have influence, which I don't believe they have, because it's just a stopgap arrangement and comments what politicians give. This is a metro, a fastest growing metro, and fastest taxpayers are growing at a rate much more faster than the rest of cities. If it can happen to other cities, why? What is lacking in Bangalore?
The uber-rich were forced out of their houses when Bengaluru received unprecedented rainfalls. In fact, it turned out to be memes. But today we also see where the Supreme Court has made references, especially to the Chandigarh administration, don't become another Bengaluru. Why exactly and how exactly has Bengaluru become today what it is known as a complete failure? In fact, to speak to us more about it, we are going to have a great citizen discussion. And speaking to us first on NDTV is, of course, going to be Mr. Sharath from the BPAC, from the Citizens Group. Sharath, we have seen every time, there is, whether there's a spell of rain, you again have an infrastructure collapse there. Then there's pothole deaths. You have right now metro pillar collapsing. So everywhere there's some problem or the other with government agencies. BPAC has given enough inputs to the government.
There was a series of collapse in the administration, plus the enforcement that needs its attention towards the details is what we are seeing in. What we were discussing is a calendar of disasters that are getting envisaged. There is a series of floodings that happens.
Yes.
Later it becomes another part of challenges, then goes on to infrastructure. So the attention of the government of the day is towards working towards the micro detail and how to bring an inter-coordinated engagement with all the stakeholders who are involved.
Would you be able to tell, because I believe BPAC has been working for very long, right? You all have been addressing the Bengaluru's issues, sitting across the table, along with the government discussing. At any point, did you all say this is where the government has gone wrong and this is where you have to make it right?
So some of them at the higher level would be institutional reforms.
So we see we require a lot of work at the ground level itself. Coming to you, Diana, during a conversation you were telling me that there were times that you would walk all the way from Indranagar to Vidhan Saudha. Are you able to do that today?
No, I'm not able to do. That's where my question is, why am I not able to do, right? It's my birth city. So I would love to live the way I lived when I was born. I would love to see those times.
You have seen the city grow, but the city has grown to a spot where you don't know who will die the next location or where the danger lurks, right? Nagesh, you have been a very active citizen activist, right? Throw us more light in terms of mobility issues here.
See, mobility, I will divide into two parts. One is the road infrastructure or metro infrastructure, that is infrastructure related. The other is the rolling stock, the BMTC buses and their management and so on. BMRCL, BMTC, BBMP, all of them are headed by IAS officers and very senior IAS officers, right? So we need even more senior person to, head that function who is actually integrating all this.
So you're telling me that you already have, IAS officers at the helm of affairs and still they are failing?
Individual agencies.
Why so? Why do you think they're failing?
Say, for example, very simple actually. They are completely working in silo. There is no sharing of data. There is no sharing of servers. There is no sharing of, systems like Intelligent Transportation System, ITS. Okay, we have two ITS, but they don't work.
Well, I at least hope that Mr. Bommai, who holds that portfolio, at least he has an idea what's happening in these different departments. But finally, I want to come back to Diana. You were talking about how you're not provided as a citizen, the basic infrastructure, right? Now, you being the taxpayers, can you tell us that, how difficult right now the situation for you it is today, what the city is offering you?
See, it's not just difficult for me as an individual, right? I could do 10 activities in a day, right? But now I'm not even able to do 2 activities a day. Why? Because there's traffic congestion all over. There is no proper connectivity of BMTC buses. We'll have to depend on different modes of transport. Why? For example, if I have to go from tin factory to, if I have to come from tin factory to Vidhan Saudha, I'll have to change either 2 buses or find a BMTC, then take an auto or find a cab, then fight with the cab driver. There is an expensive expense there. Why am I I'm a regular taxpayer, right? I have all the rights to ask for a proper connectivity. Where is it? Why is it missing?
Take that question to Mr. Sharath here. Sharath, very recently, okay, let me bring this out because people are watching, taxpayers are watching this. Mr. Nalin Kumar Katil, he went out to address his BJP cadres. Let's not focus on drainage. Let's not focus on roads. Let's not focus on civic issues. Let's focus on love jihad. Is that what people voted for?
See, the metropolitan city where it becomes the economic engine and the future growth has to be a collaborative in approach in terms of the city of Bangalore is always in the forefront for collaborations, ideating and sharing the views along with the elected representatives, the government of the day, the officials, and recipients of those responses have also been demonstrated in the city.
Has BPAC ever put that across any time to the government?
No, every day in and day out, there are approaches of collaborations. Along with BPAC, there are several hyperlocal institutions which are proactively engaging at executive engineer levels and ward level engagements. These are also critical. So the fundamental part of why these essential services have to be catered. Without these, the day-to-day affairs will not function.
But if the departments are working at individual capacity, why are they still failing to give a good infrastructure, even though at individual capacity? Why?
Yeah, for example, take Metro, the recent mishap,
why?
For example. That was completely, avoidable actually. See, in a project like that, there is a safety officer, there is a safety document, there is a safety audit. I don't think anything of that has happened.
This is going to be a question that I'm trying to ask to get more than having a discussion of sorts. What should the government or where did the government fail? If you were given that chance to change a policy, bring about that change, maybe you are in that position to do so as a CM's post, what would you do?
Have an elected BBMP council with corporators who will be the voice of citizens to find solutions. That having a council and allowing the council to function independently and utilizing the resources towards the needs of citizens.
Well, Diana, you were talking to me about, you don't find footpaths today. But if you were given that position for one day, what would you change?
First, I would fix all the potholes because I think that's an easy fix.
Coordination is lacking coordination. How do you do that?
Yes, we'll have to, if I'm a CM, right, I have that authority to bring that coordination. Yeah, so I have the power, so I need to know how to use that power and get that coordination and fix the potholes first, because that's a very easy thing to fix. If we are failing in that, I think then we cannot even talk about the major issues.
What about you, Nagesh, if you were? Because I see you have a lot of issues to be discussed, but if you were, what's the first thing that you would do?
I will ask the IAS officers to identify their staff, the key staff who is going to handle these portfolios. Divide them into lower level goals and they derive metrics. Do the joint planning, joint command and control center, share the data, make it public. See, one of the major problem is that the data is not public. We do not know what is going on, right? Only a major mishap where somebody loses his or her life, generally we talk about it for a brief time, and then we again relapse into apathy, right? But this is what is required, the structural change in the organization, and that is right behind us, right?
Yes,
these two buildings actually, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us here to speak on NDTV. Of course, as far as the infrastructural collapse is concerned, these are the very citizens. In fact, they are the stakeholders. They also point out to certain infrastructural, in fact, within the government itself. Forget it's not about the city, but within the government itself, there is a huge infrastructural collapse. There's absolutely no coordination. Nobody knows who's doing what. And that is why we see that the citizens bear the brunt of the lack of coordination and lack of the paralyzed governance, rather, we call it. In Bengaluru, with Kumar, Sreeja for NDTV.
That was our special ground report. And while Bengaluru reels under civic apathy, Uttarakhand's Joshimath is dealing with what can only be called a constructed disaster. Joshimath saw a rapid sinking of 5.4 centimeters in just 12 days, according to a report by the Indian Space Research Organization. Satellite images released by ISRO's National Remote Sensing Center show how the town sank 5.4 centimeters between December 27th and January 8th.
The human cost of the Joshimath land subsidence crisis playing out across the town. From a teary-eyed family forced to leave home to this Gurudwara where at least 8 to 10 families have taken shelter.
कितनी तकलीफ है आपको?
तकलीफ तो अब न किसी के सिर से छत जाता तो तकलीफ तो होती है। मैं भी बुढ़िया हूँ, इतने 71 साल की बुढ़िया हूँ।
71 साल की?
इतने
घर आपके पति ने बनाया था?
पति न, मेरे पति की डेथ हुई ना, तब हमको थोड़ा बहुत पैसे मिले, वो नौकरी करते थे, तब मैंने एक पैसे जोड़े। मेरे 3 बच्चे थे, उनको पढ़ाया लिखाया, शादी की उनकी, तब वैसे कर एक पैसे जोड़ के तब थोड़ा बच्चों ने भी किया। तब
आपकी आंखों में आंसू आ गए हैं?
हाँ, क्या करेंगे?
सरकार ने तो बोला कि हम पर भरोसा करो और जितना हो सकता है उतना हम जो है कि सहायता करेंगे, लेकिन कब तक हम जो है कि गुरुद्वारे में रहेंगे?
हमारे पास तो इतना बिजनेस भी नहीं है कि जो हम आगे बढ़ा सके। हमारे पास जो भी है तो हम मकान पे ही निर्भर है, किराए पे ही निर्भर है कि हमारा किराया है, उससे बच्चों का भविष्य बढ़े, क्योंकि अभी तो मकान भी नहीं है और बच्चे हमारे सब छोटे छोटे हैं, पढ़ने वाले हैं। ऐसा ही नहीं है कि हमारे बच्चे रोजगार पे हैं, छोटे बच्चे हैं और अब तो घर से भी उम्मीद नहीं है कि हम घर पे कुछ कर सके। तो हमारे पास कुछ ऑप्शन नहीं है क्योंकि हमारा रेड जोन में आ गया है।
The Uttarakhand government today said it will probe if power firm NTPC, that is constructing new projects in the area, is responsible for the sinking of land in Joshimath. The carrying capacity of all hilly areas will be checked. The state government will also approach the centre for a relief package. But just how bad is the crisis in Joshimath? This report by the Indian Space Research Organization says Joshimath saw a rapid sinking of 5.4 centimeter in just 12 days between December 27, 2022 and January 8 this year. The space agency also found that the sinking rate was much lower in the previous months. With Saurabh Shukla and camera person Pawan Kumar, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Right now we are in Joshimath, and as always, Gurudwara Committee of Joshimath has come forward to help people of Joshimath who have now left their houses. More than 10 families are staying at the Gurudwara of Joshimath, where they have given warm clothes to these affected people, food and rooms and heaters as well to keep them warm. Let's speak to the people and the people who are no less than God in Joshimath. गजेंद्र साहब, आपका घर कहाँ पे है? यहाँ
मेरा घर होटल माउंट व्यू के पीछे।
दरारें आ गई यहाँ पे घर में?
बिल्कुल साहब।
क्या बोला सरकार ने?
सरकार ने तो बोला कि हम पर भरोसा करो और जितना हो सकता है उतना हम जो है कि सहायता करेंगे, लेकिन कब तक हम जो है कि गुरुद्वारे में रहेंगे और काफ़ी जो है कि भयावह जो है वहाँ पे इतनी स्थिति खराब है कि वहाँ जाना भी अब जो है कि डर लग रहा है।
अभी तो कुछ नहीं करते, हम लोग भी ऐसे ही हैं, बिजनेसमैन ही करते हैं। तो अभी हमारे पास तो इतना बिजनेस भी नहीं है कि जो हम आगे बढ़ा सकें। हमारे पास जो भी है तो हम मकान पे ही निर्भर है, किराए पे ही निर्भर है कि हमारा किराया है, उससे बच्चों का भविष्य बढ़े, क्योंकि अभी तो मकान भी नहीं है और बच्चे हमारे सब छोटे छोटे हैं, पढ़ने वाले हैं। ऐसा ही नहीं है कि हमारे बच्चे रोजगार पे हैं, छोटे बच्चे हैं और अब तो घर से भी उम्मीद नहीं है कि हम घर पे कुछ कर सके। तो हमारे पास कुछ ऑप्शन नहीं है क्योंकि हमारा रेड जोन में आ गया है। तो हम सरकार से ये दरख्वास्त करते हैं कि जल्द से जल्दी हमारा सेटलमेंट करवाना चाहते तो सेटलमेंट करवाएं और या हमें कुछ रोजगार भी
अभी
दें।
तो फिलहाल गुरुद्वारे में आप लोग हैं?
अभी तो हम गुरुद्वारे में हम हमेशा नहीं रह सकते हैं क्योंकि अपना घर अपना ही घर होता है। हमारा घर छोटा है या बड़ा है, घर तो घर होता है, मगर हम गुरुद्वारे में इसलिए अभी कुछ टाइम के लिए ही रह पाएंगे क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो कुछ टाइम के लिए रखाया गया है कि मतलब यहाँ पे सेफ है। हम यहाँ पे भी सेफ नहीं है क्योंकि ये जोशीमठ का ही एरिया है, पूरा हम जोशीमठी में रह रखे हैं, तो इसलिए यहाँ पे भी हम सेफ नहीं है।
और लोगों से बात करते हैं, क्या करेंगे जीवन में? आप आपका नाम बताइए।
सबसे पहले मैं सरकार से ये निवेदन करना चाहूँगा, जो आपने जोशीमठ को लैंडस्लाइड एरिया घोषित किया है, तो मैं ये कहूँगा ये लैंडस्लाइड एरिया नहीं है। यहाँ पे 99.9% जो घर हैं ये सबडक्ट हुए हैं, ये लैंड के अंदर मतलब भूमि धसा हुआ है, ये भूमि स्खलन नहीं हुआ है। लैंडस्लाइड और लैंड सबडक्शन अलग अलग चीजें हैं। ये तो साफ पता चल रहा है कि भूमि धसाव टनल की वजह से, ये इसमें कोई दोहराई नहीं है।
पाजी आपका नाम क्या है?
सर मेरा नाम मोनू सिंह है।
पाजी कितने लोग हैं यहाँ पे?
सर यहाँ 8 से 10 परिवार है जो गुरुद्वारे में रुके हुए हैं।
तो पूरा जैसे हमेशा सेवा भाव से पूरे देश में, पूरे विश्व में आप लोग लगे रहते हैं?
जी सर, हम लगे हुए हैं आपदा प्रभावित क्षेत्र में। यहीं पे हमारा लंगर, हमारी कमेटी गुरुद्वारा श्री हेमकुंड साहिब मैनेजमेंट ट्रस्ट द्वारा प्रभावित लोगों के लिए लंगर सेवा सर हम लोग कर रहे हुए हैं।
रहने का भी इंतजाम किया हुआ?
रहने का भी इंतजाम यहाँ लोगों ने किया हुआ है।
तो आप क्या सबको यही बोलते हैं जिसको कहीं कुछ ना मिले, खाने के लिए, पीने के लिए, रहने के लिए गुरुद्वारे आ जाए?
हम क्या बोलने वाले होते, तो गुरु नानक देव जी हैं जिनका लंगर चल रहा है जी।
तो ये भावना है, आपने सुना मोनू सिंह जी को। अब ये अपने मुंह से नहीं कह रहे हैं, लेकिन पूरे जोशीमठ में इन लोगों ने यही कहा है कि जिसको कहीं रहने के लिए छत ना मिले, जगह ना मिले, खाने के लिए रोटी ना मिले, वो यहाँ पर आए, लंगर खाए, उनके रहने खाने का इंतजाम गुरुद्वारे में किया जाएगा।